Most conferences start with a slow pace and move up to a crescendo. We are going to start at the top with the most elegant, appropriate, dynamic representative of mothers and women and breastfeeding. And so we will hear from Mrs. Michael Spence, actually Karen Spence, who is the Second Lady of the United States and was the First Lady of Indiana for many years. She's actually an artist by trade and has encouraged thousands of children to find their artistic talents. And she herself has developed the Children's Foundation at Indiana University in Indianapolis. She's interested in art therapy. And as First Lady of Indiana, she created the First Lady's Charitable Foundation. She encourages and supports youth and families. And as we've done for everybody, we tell them how they got educated. And she has a BS and an MS in elementary education. She's a Blue Star mom. Her son is in the Marine Corps. She also has 2 daughters. She's focused on children and infant mortality for years. So I want you to welcome Mrs. Karen Spence. Welcome.
Thank you. Well, good morning, and I guess I actually can welcome you to our nation's capital because this is where I live now for this 9th summit. Thank you, Dr. Lawrence, and thank you for your leadership in taking steps to raise awareness of the health benefits of breastfeeding. And thank you to the W.K. Kellogg Foundation for your continued support of this important event. It does take support to put on an event like this. And I also want to thank my friend Jerome Adams, who leads the Indiana State Department of Health and is here at the summit today. And I worked with him a lot in Indiana on issues to improve the lives and health of citizens. And Jerome, I just applaud your leadership on what you're doing in the area of infant mortality in Indiana. And I'm on the board of Riley Children's Hospital, and that is our #1 focus. And we've done an awful lot to improve the issue of infant mortality. But it's great to see you all here to discuss such an important topic. While I was First Lady of Indiana, infant mortality was our #1 health issue. And I was able to be involved with it a lot with Jerome. We had something called the Labor of Love campaign, and we had an annual summit on the topic as well. And I'm happy to tell you that that summit has grown in attendance from originally less than 500 in 2013 to almost 800 healthcare providers last year. So I just wanted to take a moment to brag on Indiana just a little bit. Jerome's doing a great job. But, we all want to join in the fight for our babies. And the 2017 Indiana Infant Mortality Summit will focus on the maternal and newborn impact of the opioid epidemic, which is also hurting a lot of our children. You're going to hear today from a variety of national speakers, and most of you are here, high-level representatives. I guess what I want to just say before I head off, actually we're dedicating a beehive at the Vice President's residence right after this. I think what I want to do is maybe give you just a little personal side before I wish you well on your journey today. I was not breastfed. And in my mom's generation, I don't think it was as popular. And so interestingly, when I chose to breastfeed all of our children, I got a lot of support from my mother-in-law. She breastfed all 6 of her children. So the vice president was breastfed. We can say that today. But I got a lot of support from my mother-in-law. I did not get the support from my mom because I think she felt like I was choosing something she hadn't chosen. But thanks to Dr. Koop, I was one of those people, 25 years ago, who benefited from learning the benefits of breastfeeding. And Mike and I struggled with infertility for 6 years and went through a lot of heartache and a lot of experiments and everything. Finally, everything did kick in. I was telling Dr. Adams, my second and third child, I got pregnant while I was breastfeeding. Which they told me couldn't happen, but it happened. So for us, when I finally knew I was going to actually have a child, I wanted to do absolutely everything I possibly could for his health. And, had all the books, stacks and stacks of books. But for me, it wasn't really, I didn't really feel like I even had to make a choice. For me, it was like, well, this is the best thing for him. It's the best thing for me. And so, of course, I was going to do it. I had the benefit of being able to be an at-home mom. So I understand there are issues out in the workplace for women. But for me, it was the education that was started so many years ago that, for me, it was a no-brainer. But what I was surprised to hear in our discussion back in the green room before we came out was that even a lot of physicians aren't educating that this is the best thing. So I just want to say, before I head off to dedicate 20,000 bees, that I just applaud you for what you're doing. I think the more that we can educate and take away the stigma that we have in some of our communities that goes with breastfeeding, I think the better that we're all going to be. And for me, it was an education just today to realize that the education that started so vigorously with Dr. Koop so many years ago, that we have to actually keep it going. It doesn't just, you kind of feel like, oh, we got that done and so many people benefited, but it's an ongoing process. So I want to thank you for everything that you're doing. It's a privilege for me to speak out on the benefits of breastfeeding. I wasn't breastfed. I turned out okay. But I think the more we can tell people this really is the best thing, that these antibodies, we were talking about, stay with the child for a long time. And it just seems like such a smart choice to make. So for me, it was a choice that I made, and I'm glad that I did. And I'm just so grateful that you're doing what you can. We intend to tweet about this later in the day, so we will definitely. We don't have the followers that some other people do, but we have about 200,000 followers. So we are definitely gonna put the word out there on our part. But thank you, Dr. Adams, for including me and suggesting me to come today and welcome you all and start off your summit, because it is something I'm very passionate about, and we just want to do all we can to save the babies and the mamas too. So thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.